All right, betters. Today you're going to hear from Dr. John Blitch, and he is going to tell an encounter with a non-human intelligence that is going to be really hard to believe. You see, Dr. John Blitch is someone who had come out in support of whistleblower Jake Barber that was recently featured on Newsnation. And, well, Dr. John Blitch's story just got a lot more interesting. So first, I'm going to let Ross explain a little bit of Dr. John Blitch's credentials, and then we'll get to the story.
Today, it's Lieutenant Colonel John Blitch. He was another of the interviewees who strongly backed the credibility of our primary interviewee in that story, Jake Barber. Colonel Blitch has an impressive CV. He's a former Pershing II nuclear missile battery commander, a Special Forces detachment commander, and he was a troop commander at the Combat Applications Group, otherwise known as Delta Force, one of the most elite units in the US military. For those who are unfamiliar, Delta Force is a top Tier 1 Special Mission Unit along with the Navy's DevGRU, that's the SEAL Team 6, and the US Air Force's 24th Special Tactics Squadron. It's very rare to get someone with a Delta Force background speaking on the record and willing to step forward, like Colonel Blitch. John's also been a program manager at DARPA, the Defence Advanced Research Projects Agency, developing an expertise in artificial intelligence and tactical mobile robotics, as well as advanced camouflage systems for the individual warfighter. He holds a bachelor's degree in environmental engineering, a master's degree in math and computer science, and a second master's degree and doctorate in cognitive psychology. This is not some ordinary grunt. He's an open-minded cognitive scientist who also served as a visiting professor at the US Air Force Academy, as well as a consultant for the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy, NASA, and other agencies. And as you'll hear today in this full interview, he also has a forthcoming book on the abduction phenomenon, in which he tells the story of his own encounter with non-human intelligences, NHI. Here's Colonel John Blitch.
Blitch, please. Man, this guy has an absolutely incredible background, right? His credentials are what you might say impeccable, right? So this story that he's about to tell is honestly scary, astonishing, compelling, curious, interesting, but more importantly, it's a preview of his upcoming book that he has coming out about abductions. And this story is not to be taken lightly for those of you who have had personal experiences with the phenomena, right? So this is just a trigger warning. I don't want to, upset anybody who's had any previous experiences, so be wary about this. So again, I want to be respectful. This is clearly something very traumatic for Dr. John Blitch. And, I want to be open-minded and hear him out. So let's let Dr. John Blitch explain an experience with a 7-foot-tall mantid, or mantis, I don't know how he's calling it, that rips parts of his face off. I mean, this gets crazy, y'all. So just be wary, right? So, all right, play the clip.
John, if you have been abducted, and if there is a non-human intelligence, it's not inconceivable that one day you might actually get the opportunity to meet your abductors.
I already did. A tall, 7-ish foot praying mantis looking being was upset with me and was
this
chastising me.
This was during one of your abduction events?
This is right around the same time as this mountain bike incident. It was the environment that I thought it was in my bedroom on the third floor of a split-level house, and it came through a sliding screen door. There was a deck out there, 3 stories up, no stairs down, and just walked right through the door, was standing over me. And again, I was terrified, frozen, paralyzed to the bed. And I got a male presence vibe from this being. And he's just looking at me very intently and explaining to me, look, this body that you got, it is just a soul housing group. It's a brain housing group. It is just a machine that your soul occupies for this lifetime. And so, yeah, we're going to mess with it. We're going to get up under the hood and we're going to adjust the carburetor, right? I had just dated myself there. We may swap a couple of parts out, but we can't steal you. We can't steal your soul. We can't steal your consciousness. So quit screaming and writhing around and let us do our frickin' job. And it's like the equivalent of a surgeon telling the patient, stop squiggling, just like the veterinarian to my Labrador Retriever. Hold him down, for crying out loud. I got to be able to check this tendon. And so I got that very condescending and vigorous instruction. But here's the thing. As proof, there was this image that he put him, and it was terrifying. His mandibles that were kind of behind like a casing or a shell opened up, and he starts grabbing chunks of my cheek, and he's ripping it, and there's blood spattering on the wall, and I'm feeling the tug, and I'm feeling this flesh, and the whole time he is conveying to me, see, we can't get your soul. We could do a lot of damage to your body if we want to. We don't. We're trying to help you, but this is how bad it could get. So stop squiggling around and let us get this done.
Was that physical damage to your cheek real?
No, I felt the tugging, and I had the visual, again, a false fuzzy memory.
All right, so I want to be very sensitive here and respectful to people who have had experiences with the phenomena, otherwise known as experiencers, right? This gentleman is clearly an experiencer. Do I have questions? Well, of course, right? When you hear a story like that, you want to know more about it, right? Could that happen to me, right? At any point in time? How has he lived his life since, right? How has it affected him? Now, again, there's a link in the description. Go check out the full interview. It's over an hour, and you can watch more about it. I mean, he has a lot to say. In fact, he compares that analogy in there about the dog, right, that he, quote-unquote, abducted his dog one time to take him to the vet, right, as kind of being the same thing, right? But, I mean, this is just... I don't really know what to say, really, to be honest with you. I don't really have an opinion one way or the other. It's not like, do you believe him, not believe him? I mean, it's not really about that in this particular case, right? This is someone with, again, an impeccable background, right? Incredible credentials that, who am I to say, right? I'm not a veteran. I'm not anything. I'm just a YouTuber here reporting on this stuff. It's interesting to hear someone with his background say this stuff, right? For sure, right? And being that he is a doctor, right, and a psychologist, right, I'd be curious to know how certain he is that this actually happened to him, right? What are the odds he gives it percentage-wise? 100%? I don't know. But, I mean, if you're willing to go on national television and tell this story, right, clearly you've thought about that and the impact that it could have on your life, your career, your friends, your family, right, the people around you. And that's interesting, for sure. Again, it's not really for me to decide I believe or don't believe. It's one of those things that, how do you provide proof of that? There's not really a way to do it, right? Now, again, I highly recommend checking out this interview because there's a lot of other different parts to the interview. that I find worth mentioning, right? Or at least seeing for yourself, right? I mean, he talks about why the phenomena itself is not being potentially revealed to the public, right? So again, I highly recommend checking out that full interview, but that is his full experience there. And yeah, I find it, what do you want me to say? Right? It's very compelling and interesting story. So anyway, let me know in the comments what you think. Have you had a similar experience yourself? I'd love to hear from you in the comments. All right, so we'll see you on the next video. Remember, every day's a gift, y'all. Peace!
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep.